Welcome to our channel. Today we are going to explore one of the most elegant molecular mechanisms in plant biology, auxin polar transport in roots. As you can see on this slide, we have three key themes that will frame our entire discussion today: the directional flow of auxin, the role of pin proteins as auxin carriers, and how all of this drives root growth and development. Now, before we dive in, I want you to hold a mental picture. Imagine a highway with traffic moving strictly in one direction. There are no U-turns, no going backwards. That is essentially what polar auxin transport is: a precisely controlled, one-directional flow of a plant hormone through cells. What makes this remarkable is that plants have no nervous system, no circulatory system, yet they have evolved this sophisticated molecular conveyor belt to coordinate growth across the entire plant body. By the end of this lecture, you should be able to explain what auxin is, how it moves directionally through root tissues, which proteins are responsible for that movement, how gradients of auxin instruct different cells to behave differently, and why all of this matters for agriculture and biotechnology. Let us begin. This slide shows us the cellular architecture of polar auxin transport in Arabidopsis thaliana, the model plant organism we use for most plant molecular biology research. Think of Arabidopsis as the fruit fly of plants: small, fast-growing, with a fully sequenced genome. Look at the left panel. You will notice that the root is divided into distinct longitudinal zones: the differentiation zone at the top, the elongation zone in the middle, and the meristematic zone near the root tip. The purple dots represent auxin molecules, and the pink arrows show the direction of auxin flow. Notice that the arrows consistently point downward toward the root tip. This is what we mean by basipetal transport, or tipward movement. Now look at the right panel. This is where the molecular elegance really comes through. Here we see what happens at the cellular level. In the apoplast, the extracellular space between cells, the pH is approximately 5.5. At this acidic pH, auxin, specifically indole 3-acetic acid, or IAA, exists in a protonated, uncharged form, IAH. In this form, it can passively diffuse across the plasma membrane into the cell, but once inside the cytoplasm, where the pH rises to approximately 7.0, IAA loses its proton and becomes negatively charged, IAA. It is now trapped inside the cell. It cannot diffuse back out passively through the lipid bilayer. This is called the chemiosmotic hypothesis of auxin transport. Auxin enters cells easily but needs a protein carrier to exit. That exit is controlled by pin proteins, the efflux carriers you see on the right side of the cell in the diagram. Pin proteins are asymmetrically placed on the lower basal membrane of each cell, so they always pump auxin in the same direction, downward toward the root tip. And on the influx side, AUX1 LAX proteins sit on the upper membrane to facilitate auxin entry into the next cell. This relay, enter via AUX1 LAX, exit via pin, is repeated cell by cell, creating a directional stream of auxin movement. It is like a bucket brigade, passing auxin steadily in one direction. This slide gives us the foundational background. Let us make sure we are all anchored on the basics before going deeper. What is auxin? Auxin is a class of naturally occurring plant hormones, the most abundant and well-studied being indole 3-acetic acid, or IAA, whose chemical structure you can see in the top right corner of this slide. Notice the indole ring fused with an acetic acid side chain. This molecular geometry is key to how it binds its receptors. The word auxin actually comes from the Greek auxin, meaning to grow. It was first discovered in the 1920s by Dutch botanist Frits Wendt, who showed that a diffusible substance from the shoot tip caused unequal bending in oat seedlings, the phenomenon we now call phototropism. The substance he identified turned out to be IAA. Now look at the three panels at the bottom. Panel 1. Introduction to auxin. Auxins are a group of naturally occurring plant hormones playing crucial roles in growth and development. They are present in trace amounts but have enormously powerful effects. Panel 2. Definition. Auxin is synthesized primarily in young, actively dividing tissues, particularly the shoot apical meristem and young leaves. It is then transported long distances to other tissues where it exerts its effects. The key point here is that auxin is not made where it acts. It travels. Panel 3. Importance of auxin. Look at the 3 functions illustrated here. Cell elongation. Auxin promotes the elongation of cells, particularly in stems and roots, by loosening cell walls and allowing them to expand. Apical dominance. High auxin levels from the main shoot tip inhibit the growth of lateral buds. This is why a tree grows tall and straight rather than bushy. When you prune the top of a plant, you remove the auxin source, and the lateral buds are released to grow. That is the horticultural principle behind pruning and hedge trimming. Root development. Auxin stimulates the initiation and growth of lateral and adventitious roots. An important concept here is concentration-dependent effects. Auxin does not always promote growth. At high concentrations, it actually inhibits root growth while promoting shoot growth. This differential sensitivity between organs is fundamental to understanding how a single hormone can orchestrate complex developmental patterns. This is one of the most visually striking slides in our presentation, and it captures a profound concept: information encoded in concentration gradients. Look at the left panel. Auxin, the purple dots, is synthesized in young tissues, particularly in the shoot tip and the root tip itself. It is then transported by the PIN AUX1 carrier system we discussed, flowing toward the root tip in a directional stream. At the root tip, auxin accumulates, especially in the quiescent center and surrounding cells. This is the zone of highest auxin concentration. The central panel illustrates this gradient beautifully. Notice the deep green at the root tip, indicating maximum auxin, which fades to lighter green as you move upward through the root. The arrow confirms this. Auxin is highest at the tip and decreases progressively toward the more mature regions of the root. Now, the critical question is, why does this gradient matter? Look at the right panel, which shows how different zones of the root have different auxin concentrations, and how cells in each zone behave differently as a result. The root cap. At the very tip has the auxin maximum. These cells are protected by the cap and are critical for gravity sensing. The meristematic zone has low auxin. This might seem counterintuitive, but low auxin here actually promotes cell division. The cells are small and actively dividing. The elongation zone has moderate auxin. At these intermediate concentrations, auxin promotes cell elongation. Cells stretch dramatically in length here, which is what drives the physical growth of the root downward. The differentiation zone has a high auxin response. Here, cells differentiate into specialized cell types, including root hair cells. This is the concept of positional information. The gradient tells each cell where it is in the root, and that position determines its developmental fate. The same molecule, IAA, conveys different instructions depending on its local concentration. It is an extraordinarily elegant system. Also note the left panel bullets. The PIN proteins mediate this polar transport to create the directional flow, while auxin accumulates in specific regions through a combination of directional transport and local metabolism. We now move from gradients to outcomes. Specifically, how auxin concentration differences instruct cells to take on different identities. This slide focuses on 2 critical differentiation processes: root hair formation and lateral root initiation. Let us start with the left panel. Influence on root hair formation. Root hairs are tiny extensions of epidermal cells that dramatically increase the surface area of the root for water and nutrient absorption. Look at the sequential diagram showing epidermal cell, root hair bulge formation, root hair elongation. This progression is driven by auxin. In the differentiation zone, where auxin levels are elevated, auxin activates a transcription factor called RHD6. Root hair defective 6, along with other downstream genes, which collectively trigger the asymmetric growth of the epidermal cell to form the root hair bulge, followed by tip growth to elongate it. This process is concentration sensitive. Insufficient auxin means poor root hair development. Optimal auxin levels drive robust hair formation. Now look at the right panel. Influence on lateral root development. This is a 3-stage process. First, auxin accumulates in specific pericycle cells, a layer of cells just inside the endodermis. This triggers those pericycle cells to re-enter the cell cycle and start dividing, forming a lateral root primordium, essentially an embryonic lateral root. Third, this primordium grows, breaks through the overlying cell layers, and emerges as a new lateral root branch. Critically, auxin does not act alone here. The panel notes that auxin works cooperatively with cytokinin and strigolactone to fine-tune lateral root formation. Cytokinin tends to inhibit lateral root emergence, creating a push-pull regulatory balance with auxin. Strigolactone has additional modulatory effects, particularly under nutrient stress conditions. The summary banner at the bottom encapsulates this beautifully. Auxin gradients are essential for establishing root pattern, guiding cell differentiation, and enabling adaptive root architecture through root hair and lateral root development. This is the key takeaway from this slide. Auxin is not just a growth promoter, it is a spatial patterning molecule. We have been talking about pin proteins as the molecular machinery of polar transport. Now let us examine them in detail. This is where molecular biology meets cell biology in a really satisfying way. First, the overview statement at the top of this slide. Pin proteins are auxin efflux carriers that mediate the polar transport of auxin from cell to cell, establishing auxin gradients essential for plant growth and development. That is the one-sentence definition you should be able to recall. This diversity allows pin proteins to perform tissue-specific functions, acting at different developmental stages and in different contexts. Now, look at the right panel. Function of pin proteins. The cellular diagram shows cell A and cell B. In cell A, pin proteins sit on the right basal lateral face of the plasma membrane. They export auxin, the orange circles, IAA, into the apoplastic space between the cells. On the receiving side, cell B, AUX1 LAX influx carriers import the auxin into the cytoplasm. From there, it will be handed off again to pin proteins on cell B's membrane, continuing the directional relay. 3 key functional points to remember. Pin proteins mediate auxin efflux. They pump auxin out of the cell. They facilitate cell-to-cell transport by exporting auxin to the apoplast, where it is picked up by the next cell. They work cooperatively with AUX1 LAX influx carriers in neighboring cells to create a directional vector. Think of pin proteins as the paddle in a game of ping pong. They knock auxin in a specific direction. Without them, auxin would randomly diffuse, and all the spatial patterning we discussed would be lost. This slide deepens our understanding of how pin proteins achieve their remarkable directional specificity. The central question is, how does a pin protein know which face of the cell to sit on? Look at panel 3. Pin proteins mediate auxin efflux. Here we see a single cell in cross-section with the plasma membrane clearly shown. Pin proteins are integral membrane proteins embedded in the lipid bilayer. Auxin, the orange circles, moves through the pin protein from the cytoplasm into the apoplast. The cell wall space, the arrow labeled auxin efflux, points downward, confirming the unidirectional nature of this pump. Now, panel 4. Polar localization of pin proteins. This is the key concept for directional transport. Notice in the diagram that pin proteins are located asymmetrically on just one face of the cell membrane, specifically the basal lower membrane in root cells. The blue arrow shows that the direction of auxin transport follows exactly the location of pin proteins. If pin is on the lower membrane, auxin goes down. If pin redistributes to the lateral membrane, as happens during tropisms, auxin goes sideways. The question of what determines pin localization is one of the most fascinating in plant biology. The answer involves a kinase called pinoid, PID, and a phosphatase called PP2A, which regulate PN phosphorylation. Phosphorylated PN goes to the apical membrane. Dephosphorylated PN goes to the basal membrane. Clathrin-mediated endocytosis also continuously recycles PN proteins from the membrane. They are internalized and resecreted, a process that allows rapid redistribution in response to stimuli like gravity or light. Finally, panel 5. Importance of localization in directional transport. The schematic at the bottom is perhaps the most intuitive visualization. Auxin flows from a source on the left, through a file of cells where all pin proteins are aligned on the same side, to a destination on the right. The coordinated polar localization of pin across multiple cells creates a supracellular stream. It is like lining up many one-way valves in series to create a pressure-driven flow. We are now moving from mechanism to meaning. Why does polar auxin transport matter beyond the molecular level? This slide and the next connect our molecular understanding to whole plant development and ultimately to agricultural applications. The title captures it perfectly. Polar auxin transport is essential for directional auxin movement, which shapes plant growth, adaptive responses, and agricultural productivity. Look at Section 1, Role in Plant Development. The diagram on the left shows a whole plant with the shoot apical meristem at the top generating auxin, which flows downward through the vascular tissue to the root. Along the way, auxin is redistributed laterally to initiate lateral organ formation, leaves, branches, and lateral roots. At the root level, the root meristem at the bottom produces its own local auxin, creating the root tip maximum we have discussed. The cellular inset shows PIN and AUX1 LAX proteins working together at the cellular level. This integration of shoot-derived and root-derived auxin signals is what coordinates the entire plant's architecture. When the shoot sends more auxin downward, the root responds by branching more. When the root is stressed, local auxin redistribution adjusts growth. It is a two-way conversation mediated by a single molecular currency, IAA. Now look at Section 2, Impact on Root Architecture. The root system on the right is annotated with three key processes. Primary root growth. The root tip's auxin maximum promotes cell elongation in the elongation zone, physically pushing the root tip deeper into the soil. High auxin drives this forward motion. Lateral root formation. As we discussed, auxin accumulation in pericycle cells triggers the cell divisions that initiate new branch roots. A well-branched root system is more effective at mining the soil volume for water and minerals. Root hair development. Local auxin distribution in the differentiation zone promotes root hair initiation and elongation, adding tremendous surface area for absorption without requiring energetically expensive new root growth. The take-home message here is architectural. The entire geometry of the root system, how deep it grows, how much it branches, how many absorptive hairs it has, is a product of polar auxin transport patterns. Our final slide brings us full circle, from fundamental molecular mechanisms to real-world applications. This is where the science meets the field. Section 3. Response to environmental stimuli. Plants cannot run away from problems. They must adapt in place. Polar auxin transport is the primary mechanism through which they do this. Look at the 5 environmental responses shown. Gravitropism. When a root is displaced horizontally, gravity causes auxin to redistribute to the lower side of the root. Because roots are more sensitive to auxin than shoots, this higher concentration on the lower side actually inhibits elongation there, while the upper side elongates more, causing the root to bend downward, back toward gravity. This is why roots grow down even when a seed is planted sideways. Phototropism. In the shoot, when light comes from one side, auxin moves to the shaded side, stimulating more elongation there, bending the shoot toward the light source. This is the classic bending response first studied by Darwin himself. Drought stress. When water is scarce, altered auxin transport adjusts root growth patterns. Roots tend to grow deeper into the soil in search of moisture, and surface root branching may be reduced to conserve resources. Root hair formation is also modulated to maximize water uptake. Nutrient availability. Auxin signaling modulates root branching and hair formation in response to the local distribution of nutrients. Roots proliferate extensively in nutrient-rich patches of soil, a phenomenon called foraging behavior. And this is auxin-mediated. Mechanical stress. Physical perturbation of roots triggers auxin redistribution that helps reinforce tissues and adjust growth patterns. Roots grow around obstacles, for example. Hope you find this short lecture useful.